Oh, what is good, legends? Welcome back to another video. For those of you that are new here, my name is Brody. I am an ex-tradie, ex-FIFO worker from Australia. And yeah, I thought I'd just jump on and give you guys a bit of insight about my experience working as a tradie, or more specifically, a carpenter in Australia. So yeah, I've been out of the trades for a couple of years now, but I did do 7 or 8 years as a tradie or a chippy in Australia. So I thought I'd just give you guys a bit of a rundown of my experience, my journey, what sort of money I was on, things like that. So yeah, a bit about me. I finished school in 2015, so I started a carpentry apprenticeship in South Australia in 2016 when I was 18 years of age, straight out of school, in a small country town in South Australia, my hometown where I grew up. So yeah, when I started that, I think I was on $13.50 an hour, which equaled out to be after tax about $450 a week. So I don't know what apprentices get paid these days, but yeah, that was pretty rough. Luckily, I was still living with mum and dad. I didn't really have too many bills and things like that. And then when I went second year, I was on, I think I went up to like $15. So I got like a $1.50 pay rise, which would have taken me to like 500 and something a week. Third year was, I think, the biggest jump. I think I went up to about $18.50, which would have taken me to about $750 a week after tax. And then in my fourth year, I think it went up to about $20 an hour. So yeah, nothing crazy. I'm pretty sure the wages would have increased a bit by now. But yeah, I'm not too sure. And then when I got qualified, I was on $26 an hour as a qualified tradie for the next year after that. Still with the same company that I did my apprenticeship with, which, you know, in reality, that's not very good money, right? It wasn't even $1,000 a week after tax. It was, I think, $850 to $900 a week. Which, yeah, for doing a 4-year apprenticeship, you know, that's not very good money. So I kept working there for another year and a half, I think, and then I wanted to chase more money. So I made the move over to Western Australia, got offered a job with someone that I knew in that town, made my first move interstate, or first move out of my hometown, which was a big step for me. And then as soon as I got over there, I was straight away on $38 an hour, which means I went from 26 to $38 an hour, which is a $12 an hour increase, which is, I felt on top of the world. I felt like I was rich, which I think I was then getting paid around $3,000 to $3,500 a fortnight after tax, which, yeah, that was awesome. But and then after like a few months went by, I got bumped up to $40 an hour, and then I ended up on $42 an hour. And that wasn't mining or anything like that. It was just, I was going to mine sites here and there, but that was just doing local jobs around the town. That was more form work and civil construction, things like that. Whereas my apprenticeship back in South Australia, it was just all houses, just new houses, renovations, deckings, things like that, just residential work. But then it was more commercial once I went over to the West. In terms of like tools and things like that, straight off the bat, when I started my apprenticeship, I obviously went and bought a toolkit. So I bought a Milwaukee kit. I think it was like an 8 or 10 piece. I bought 2 nail guns, obviously a tool bag, heap of hand tools, chisels, all that sort of shit. I think straight off the rip, I probably spent about $2,000 on my Milwaukee kit, and then I would have spent $1,500 on nail guns, so that's $3,500, and then I probably spent another $2.5 grand on just miscellaneous tools, you know, spirit levels, shit like that. So all up, straight off the rip, I probably spent about $6 grand on tools. And then obviously I had to provide my own ute. I wasn't provided with a work car, so I just bought myself like a dual cab 4-drum Hilux that I had pretty much the whole time I was in South Australia. Paid 15 grand for that. And then I had to get toolboxes and things like that, so a bit of extra. So I think all up over my apprenticeship, I probably spent about 10 grand on tools, which is not a great deal really. I probably didn't have as many tools as what what other people have. I just had them in the back of my ute in toolboxes. I didn't have a tool trailer or anything like that. And then when I made the move over to Western Australia, I was provided with a little work ute. And most of the tools I had were for residential work, and I'd started doing like form work and civil construction. So half the tools I had, I didn't even really need anymore. Like I didn't even use my nail gun after that. I was pretty much just using an impact driver, a circular saw, angle grinder, just the basics. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad experience at all. Like I got very, very valuable life skills. Like for example, if I buy myself a house now, I can renovate it. I can knock a wall out. I can hang doors. I can paint. I do everything. Like when I did my apprenticeship, I did a lot of painting. I also was working with a plasterer. So the houses that we'd build, the plasterer and I would plaster the houses that we'd build. So I learned how to do that as well. Like I said, I did a lot of painting. I did paving, obviously carpentry. And like the company that I did my apprenticeship with, we didn't just have we weren't just framers, or we weren't just fix out carpenters. We did everything from start to finish. So we'd help the concreters form up if it was a slab, or if it was like can't remember what it's called, like an above ground floor. We'd obviously frame all that out, lay the blocks, all of that, and then we'd build the frames ourselves, put the flooring on ourselves. We'd get trusses made. We wouldn't pitch the roofs. So we would just obviously put the trusses up ourselves, do the battens or the purlins ourselves, and then we'd sheet the roofs, do the flashings, all that sort of shit, clad the outside, gyprock or plaster the inside, then flush it. We would get a painter to come in and paint the houses, obviously. Unless it was a small job, then we'd just do it ourselves. And then obviously the fix out we'd do ourselves, the windows, the doors, the skirting, the architraves, all that sort of shit we would completely do ourselves. Obviously that's kind of the job of a carpenter. And then the decks, the verandas, anything like that, garage doors, we'd put up ourselves. Also, I did a lot of shed building, not massive sheds, but just like small sheds that people would have like in their backyard. We would put up a lot of them. But yeah, I think that's about it. Obviously, like I said, I've been out of the trades for a couple of years now. I work completely online. In fact, I don't even live in Australia anymore, which I've only recently made the move, which has been pretty cool. But yeah, so in terms of like money, I started on first year $13.50, then went up to about 15 second year, third year went to about 18, and then up to about 20 on my fourth year. Then once I got qualified, $26 an hour, and then I moved across to the west from South Australia, went to 38, and then ended up on 42 after my couple of years there. And that wasn't FIFO or anything like that. That was just working around town. I was working on mine sites here and there, but we'd just like go there for a week or two at a time to do a job, and then we'd leave. We weren't really we didn't fly to any sites or anything like that. And then, after about 8 years in the industry, I started to get a bit sick of it, as a lot of people do. And then that's when I went and worked in the mines, which had nothing to do with my trade. That was just purely just as an operator in an underground mine, which it was actually a substantial pay cut to me. Obviously, I'd gone from like a qualified tradie to back to being a shit kicker pretty much, back to being an apprentice just about. And then, straight away, once I started working in the mines, that's when I started to look into ways to make money online. The whole reason I went to the mines was because I wanted to give myself that time to be able to start something else. And that's exactly what I did. As soon as I went to the mines, I invested into a mentor to teach me appointment setting and remote closing, which turns out that was the best decision I ever made, because after about 5 or 6 months, I was able to completely leave the mines, completely leave my trade, work completely online. Before that, I'd never traveled overseas, never even had a passport. And now last year, I traveled to 5 different countries, and now I've just recently moved overseas. I'm living in a completely different country, which obviously would never have been, none of that would have been possible if I was still working in the mines or working as a tradie, because obviously if it was possible, I would have done it before that. But yeah, now I work in the high ticket sales space with appointment setting and remote closing, and I help other people, other tradies, other FIFO workers get into the industry and do the same thing. So yeah, I guess that wraps up the video. I just wanted to give you guys, you know, my experience from working in the trades in Australia, whether you might be thinking about doing a trade, thinking about becoming a carpenter, and whatever. Hope that gave you a little bit of insight. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you know, are a tradie or a FIFO worker and you're looking to maybe make a career change, I can help with that. So you can either hit me up on Instagram, _ Brody White is my name, or there will be a link in the bio of this video where you can book in a call from someone from my team, talk to a success coach, and get you in the right direction. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.